أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وعباد الرحمن الذين يمشون على الأرض هونا وإذا خاطبهم الجاهلون قالوا سلاما والذين يبيتون لربهم سجدا وقياما والذين يقولون ربنا اصرف عنا عذاب جهنم إن عذابها كان غراما أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Salam everybody. I won't lie to you, today will likely not be like a discussion day because there's a lot to say. I think it's a really important subject, so I'm just going to try to go to the end and try not to hold you guys too late, okay? So I'm just going to jump into it. I have been thinking a lot about the love of Allah lately because of my daughter. So, subhanAllah, it's really hard to describe like the love you feel for your kid. It's very new to me. I'm still fresh in this. It's been like 4 and a couple, whatever, days, 4 months and a couple days. And I was not prepared. You know, everyone always says like, oh man, you're like, you don't know what it is until you have a first kid. And I'm like, oh, whatever, dude. But it really, you don't know. And I pray that Allah, blesses you guys with like good marriages and children and all that stuff. I mean, but the best way I can describe it so far is like, it's as if Allah gave me like a second heart, like exclusively for bayan, Like everyone else, the love is like in heart number 1, but then heart number 2 is like bayan exclusive and no one else can touch it. And it's like just for her. Like she'll do things that is so annoying. I have not slept in like 2 days, And I lose my patience a lot with her, don't get me wrong, but like I'll pick her up and I'll be, cause like I'm really angry when I don't sleep. I'm really angry, wallah. So she'll wake me up at like 2 in the morning and then 3 in the morning and then 5 in the morning and then 6 in the morning. And I'm angry, but as soon as I pick her up, I'm like, fine, And then in the morning, I'm like I'm upset and I'm tired and have to go to work right away. But I'm like, whatever, we'll keep her for a couple more days. At least we'll see how it goes, Like that love is just it overrides a lot, And the more I'm kind of like soaking up my time with her and like putting her to bed and holding her and like whatever, helping clean her and all this kind of stuff, the more I think about like, it's going to sound cliche, but I don't care. The more I think about the love of Allah, because all that love I feel for her and the love that must mean my parents felt for me and the love I have for my wife and for my family and whatever, you can kind of think of it as like there's like a source of that love, kind of like how when there's an ocean, there's rivers coming out of the ocean, that like the ocean is like the main source of water, but rivers kind of carry throughout like the land, right? And that ocean is the love of Allah. So this thing that I'm feeling for her is really from the love of Allah originally. You know what I mean? It's really beautiful. The problem though becomes this, is that like today, subhanAllah, I was actually at a burial for my good friend Ammar Abu Hijla for his father. And I am not at all looking forward to how losing a parent feels like. That I heard is one of the worst experiences in life. The advice that I got ahead of time was, it doesn't get easy, but it gets easier. But it's never easy. May Allah protect our parents. But I guess as I was like thinking about that and holding bayan, I was thinking like, as much as I love her, that love is very imperfect. And it has a beginning and eventually, at least in this world, like in a worldly lens, it has an end. So I lose my patience with her, for example. It's imperfect. Like there are times where I'm like, girl, stop, like I lose it. Or there are times where like I forget about her a little bit because of work, or because of like something I want to do, or because something I want to eat, or because of like, you know what I mean? Like I'm out for a lot of the day, have to do something, or like the day's just going by too fast and I only have a few hours with her and I like have to slow down and remember. My point is, the love that we have, as intense as it might be for whoever, fill in the blank, it's very imperfect. There's a lot of blemishes in it, as honest as the love might be, and it's very temporary. And it really reminds you, Allah, of like, the love of Allah is the exact opposite. It's like if, you fill a cup with water and you keep filling and filling and filling, and the love of Allah, like it'll go all the way to the top, but then keep giving you more and more and more. Like there's no way you can have enough of it. And Allah always has more for you, Your kid might grow up and resent you, and that love is now one-sided. love can be toxic, actually. Like you learn in, for example, Surah Yusuf, the love that the woman, that the wife of the Aziz had for Yusuf was a very toxic love. And it became strictly like a zina type of love, a very passion-only love. And we know where that can lead. I don't have to fill in the blanks for you, right? But the love of Allah is satiating. You guys know what I mean by satiating? Like it's enough. And it's enough even when you're alone. It's enough even when you're abandoned. Like with Musa alayhi salam, when he was abandoned by his community and he left and he was alone in the desert, he had that love that still like drove him forward. Like you can argue that he survived that desert because of the love of Allah alone. And you and I will have periods in our life where like we're alone except for the love of Allah, and that becomes enough for us. But every other love is temporary. And I bring that up because today I was like debating in my head which passage to share. This, by the way, is going to be the last of this series of what Allah expects from us. We're going to continue it after Ramadan. The next time I meet you guys, it's going to be a very, hopefully, non-generic Ramadan reminder lecture. And then we're going to have a certain topic that I want to cover during Ramadan that I'll tell you guys about next time. I don't want to tell you about it yet. I'm very excited about it. But before we close this book temporarily, I wanted to cover this passage specifically because it opens up about a very special group called Ibadur Rahman. And I want to talk about that phrase, but I'll give you an overview first. Allah talks about this group called Ibadur Rahman, which as like a basic overview is like the beloved slaves of the most loving. The beloved slaves of the most loving. And then it gives a detailed description of who these people are, right? So when you think about like you wanting the love of Allah, then your ear should perk up like, how do I get on this list? Now I want to actually like kind of dissect these two words first, like this group, before I go into, because it's kind of like you can think of it as Allah's going to give 8 different types of people that earn His rahmah, His love. But I want to talk about like the words that He chose to name this group before I tell you what they do. Does that make sense? The words that He chose to describe them are Ibad ar-Rahman. Okay, Ibad is plural for the word abd. What does abd mean? Slave. We talk about that word a lot. And then Ar-Rahman is a name that you should be very familiar with because where is it? In Fatiha. So you should be well familiar with that one, I hope. Ar-Rahman is one of the most important names of Allah. It's the first like official name that He actually introduced. You know, in Fatiha when you think about it, Alhamdulillah, Allah, obviously the name Allah, but then Ar-Rahman afterwards, right? I'll talk about the word Ar-Rahman first, and I'll talk about the word Ibad, okay? Ar-Rahman comes from Rahmah. You guys might remember this from Ramadan 2 years ago. We talked about Fatiha. Ar-Rahman comes from Rahmah. Rahim in Arabic was they called that the womb of the mother. So when a mother is pregnant with a child, that womb that took care of the baby and brought the baby everything that it needed, and even though the baby kicked and caused pain, the mother still loves the baby. That womb, and even when the baby comes out and it literally almost kills the mom, right? And the mother still loves it to death, right? That relationship is called Ar-Rahim. So when Allah calls Himself Ar-Rahman with that "and" sound at the end, that means, I don't want this to be a lecture about the word Ar-Rahman, but that means the incredibly, intensely loving and caring one. The Rahmah a lot of time is translated as like mercy, but the problem with the word mercy is that it kind of means when you want to punish someone but you have mercy on them. This isn't really what Allah means when He says Ar-Rahman. This word is stuffed with love and care. The one that shows absolute, intense love that makes no sense. I'll put that in there too. Like love that doesn't make sense. That's Ar-Rahman. Okay? Ibad, the singular is abd. There's 2 ways to make the word abd, slave, plural. The first way is abid. You guys are unfortunately aware of that one. And the second one is ibad. Okay? We use abid as a slur nowadays, right? Abid is used in Quran also. Like Allah says, for example, that He will never wrong His abid. He will never wrong any slaves of His whatsoever. Allah only deals justly. Ibad, though, is a special plural that I'll fast forward it a little bit. You can kind of think of it as there's love even in the word ibad, like the beloved slaves or the special slaves of Ar-Rahman. The last thing I want to say about this is a really cool thing. This, in Arabic, is called an idafa. Before I lose you guys should know that in the back, right? Light, no alif, lam plus. Do you remember that fun stuff? Okay. This is called an idafa. Thank you, Noor. I don't like that face at all. I don't know if you're kidding, to be honest. We weren't really kidding a couple months ago. Okay. When you put two words together in Arabic, they sometimes have a relationship grammatically. Before you fall asleep, I'm telling you this is cool. Listen, okay. There are 5 different types of relationships that these words can have together. And this one is a special one called an idafa. It has, you don't need to know what it means, just follow the word for now, okay? What's really amazing about this way of joining two words together is this is the only way in Arabic to grammatically fuse two words together that cannot be interrupted. Like in a mawsuf sifa, you can interrupt them. In an ism ishara, you can interrupt them. In a harf jar, you can interrupt them. In a harf nasb, you can interrupt them. You cannot interrupt an idafa. You can't interrupt it. They are necessarily, even grammatically, this is the point, even grammatically, they're inseparable. Which is really interesting that he used that to kind of fuse us with him. Well, hopefully us with him. Does that make sense? It's like, I won't even grammatically separate from these people how much I love them. Does that make sense? This title is like top shelf people to Allah. And now what he's going to do is explain who deserves this title. Who are the people that get that satiating love of Allah? And this is, by the way, I want you to really see, this of course has implications in the akhirah, of course. That the only people, like in the afterlife, as we studied a while ago, you are either someone that earns Allah's love or you're someone that earns Allah's justice. May Allah not make us of the latter group, right? So that obviously is a motivation, but I also want to highlight how the love of Allah in this life is something that will save you from literally everything. And it's something that will hold you through literally everything. It will take you out of very dark moments in your life. Just like love does in this world too. Like I'll give you an example. Actually, Adina, my niece, okay? One time, her mom was, hi Mines. That's my sister-in-law. Say hi Mines. Okay. My sister-in-law was reprimanding my niece. This is like I don't think you remember this. This is years ago. I think Adina was like 3 or 4, okay? And Minas was like, I don't know, like, no, you have to go to bed now or something. And like as a 3-year-old, you lose your mind over that, right? Like that's like the worst adab ever is bedtime. So she starts like really crying. And Minas was like putting her foot down. Not in a bad way, but like putting her foot down with her. And Adina was crying. And then who did she go to? Even though her mom was the one causing her the pain, who did she go to? She went to her mom. It was like really funny to watch actually. It was like, you're the one that like caused the situation where I don't like what's happening, yet you're the only one that I can go to actually be okay right now. You know what I mean? That's what you get out of it here too. You know? Like you know where to go to, you're not confused, you're able to survive really dark emotional times. That's what I mean by satiating. You know what I mean? And then he gives a list. Now I'm going to go into this because I really want to be able to capture everything today. So listen to this. You can argue that there's 8 kind of qualities that are going to be listed tonight. And I want you to actually, as I'm talking, think about what would those 8, like what do I have to do to be on this list? Like I would dare to bet, I would put money down that the things that you would select to be the 8 things are not what Allah selected to be the 8 things. I can almost guarantee you, which is really interesting. Like what Allah, the way He judges someone and the way He judges who gets love and who doesn't is very different from how we do it, right? So there's going to be these 8 qualities that Allah listed over the span of like maybe like a page and a half, okay? I want to talk about those 8 qualities as much as I can tonight, inshallah. Maybe whatever we don't finish, I'll do next time too. My point is though is this, there are very few people that argue that to be Ibad al-Rahman, to be in this very special group, may Allah make us of them, you have to have all 8 boxes checked. So you need to do number 1 and number 2 and 3 and 4 all the way to 8. Okay? There's another opinion that actually you can be any one of these 8 groups and you're good. Do you guys get the difference? It's a big difference though, isn't it? Okay. I'm going with the second opinion, that it is separate groups for 2 main reasons. Number 1, the language kind of a little bit makes it really clear, right? But we don't have to get into that, but the language really makes it clear. And the second thing is, that's kind of how Allah is, isn't it? That's actually what you would expect from Him, that He would make it really easy. Like the way that I explain it to people, and the way like I learned, like when I was learning who Allah is, what you'll kind of get by the end of this, I hope one thing you get by the end of this is that Allah will literally like look for an excuse to save you on Judgment Day. That's just who He is. That's what you expect of Him. My teacher taught me this, Malik Shadi, he taught me this, where like one time I went to the masjid and I was super late, and like I was so late that like I missed every rak'ah except for like, I sat down for the salam. And then I got up to do the whole thing by myself, and I went to Malik, I'm like, man, I really wanted the ajr, like I wanted the, like what is it, like times, what is it, 70 something, what is it? I'm getting 67, was that a joke, or was that like, I'm getting every number under the book, you get the idea, times a lot, okay? And I was like, Malik, like, I'm worried, like, did I get it? Because I tried. And then he kind of like, he answered but didn't answer. And he's like, what do you expect of Allah? It's like, that should be what you expect of Him. And that wasn't just for me. It wasn't just about that moment. I copied and pasted that to everything in life, you know? So because Allah is who He is, we can assume these are all separate groups. Okay. There's a poem that I love a lot from Abu Sa'id. This is attributed to Rumi a lot. It's actually by Abu Sa'id in the year 1000. That kind of, it follows the spirit of what you learn from passages like this. And I'll read it really quickly. Come whoever you are, this is not a house of despair. If you've broken your vow 1,000 times, we don't care. Lover of leaving, O doubtful one, come whoever you are, come and yet again come. The spirit of this is another person. It's kind of like, when you really experience love, this is where I think this poem was influenced by the love of Allah. Because remember I gave you the example of like a cup that overflows? Like when you have a full cup, you have enough, right? It's kind of like someone that really experiences Allah. The water fills and fills and fills. And then it's like, okay, hasbuk, like I got enough. And then it keeps filling until it like pours over onto your hand. So then you're like, okay, I'm wasting water now. Like I got to give this to everyone else now. You know what I mean? Like come take some. So when you really understand Him, you think like this. This is a human thinking of other humans. But it's inspired by Allah. Does that make sense? This should be our attitude, by the way, towards other people. That we don't look down on them. This is how we think of inviting them to the masjid, or like family members that are kind of far and stuff like that. That this is the way that we think of them. We think of them in a loving way, because Allah thinks of us and them in a loving way. Right? Okay. So I want to start, and we're going to go one group at a time. You guys ready for this? Bismillah. Okay. وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا. This is group number one. I'm going to just write them up here so you don't lose track of them. I know. Yeah, I'll put them up in a second. Thank you so much, guys. Okay. وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا. The very first group that earns this title. And the beloveds of Allah, the beloved slaves of Allah, are the ones who walk on the earth with humility. That's number one. That's half of number one. I'll go to the second part in a little bit. But the first quality of group number one, there's two major qualities of group number one. The first one is they walk on the earth with what's called hawn. Hawn, if you look up in the dictionary, is like when something's really soft. That's hawn. Like the way that I think of this is like my uncle, my khalo back in Palestine, may Allah preserve him. He's this like towering man, mashallah. Like really, he's like a monster. Like he's the type that would like beat on IDF soldiers. Like he's that kind of guy. He actually went to jail and came back. I realized he was so buff because I've only seen him twice in my life, or technically 3 times. I was really young. The last time I saw him, when I was like in 8th grade, he was kidnapped by the IDF, and he came back to his house on like the 3rd or 4th day I was there, and he was skinny. But before that, he was like this really buff dude, like really huge, like towering, like he would pick you up with one hand type of guy, you know what I mean, mashallah? But everything he did, it would be so like soft. You know what I mean? Like even the way he stirred his tea was very like, if you had ADHD, you'd be like, hurry up, man. Like he was very soft, the way that he would even stir tea. He was very patient. Like he stirred in like this cup that was too small, like just enough size for the spoon. So he would have to like pick up this, you know that another thing, you have to pick up the spoon and put it in, like kind of mix it instead of stir, because otherwise you'd have to like turn it. So he kind of like picked it up, but he took a minute, but he would just like, and he would have no annoyance on his face. He would just very slowly. That's hawn. It's like softness. And Allah's not talking about stirring tea, yeah? He's talking about people that when they walk with humility. They walk softly. They do not walk like showing off their muscles. They don't walk like there's some women, like when I was in my corporate life, like I swear they did it on purpose. Like there were certain women that they would have really hard like soles on their shoes, and they would, like you knew when they were coming. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, no one's looking at you. Just stop. Take off your shoes. Go to the bathroom and shut up. I don't want to hear from you. You know what I mean? Like people that walk like they want attention. You know what this really is about, by the way, is attitude. You know how we talked about principles versus laws last time, or principles versus rules? I want to introduce like a new way of thinking. This is morals versus laws. Allah here is introducing morals. And morals have to do with attitude. Like you wouldn't go to jail in like under Sharia law if you're walking hard. That's not a punishable offense. But it's an offense on the heart. It's a moral wronging. It's not something you can go to jail for or get lashed for or something. It's something within you that you fix. You know what this is saying? This is Allah telling us people that do not walk around with the intention of putting others down or thinking they're better than others, they are group number one. People that walk with hawn. They walk smoothly. They don't draw attention to themselves. They don't walk in a way that excludes others. The way that we do a lot, to be quite honest. You know how many clients I have that complain that I try to be involved in the masjid and everyone there's a jerk? You know people I know? A lot of people, unfortunately. That means that we have a culture of no hawn. We have no yamshuna ala al-ardi hawnan in us. The way we walk is like we exclude other people. The way we walk is like I'm up here and you're down here. And if you want to be in with my group, you better get with the program. That's not what this group is. يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ. And when the jahil talks to them, addresses them, قَالُوا سَلَامًا. They say salam. There's two words I didn't translate yet, okay? What's a jahil? An ignorant person. Jahil in Old Arabic it meant ignorant, but that was like a secondary meaning. Jahil back then actually meant someone who can't control their emotions. Like, you know, people that like talking to them is like walking through a minefield. Like you don't know what word you're going to say is going to set them off. You know what I mean? Some of you are smiling. I'm sorry. Right? But people like that they get overly emotional with something, right? And then when they flare up, you can't calm them down. Someone that has no control over their emotions is a jahil. That's what a jahil is. Allah is saying, people that when a jahil comes to them and argues with them and berates them and puts them down, they reply with what? قَالُوا سَلَامًا. They reply with peace. Now that could be like you literally being like peace, peace, or salam. That could be that, like you said, salam, literally. But actually that could be another way of looking at it would be they speak peacefully. So I'll give you an example of this. One time I was leaving UIC, and when I was in college, and I had a really bad day, and as I'm driving out, there's like construction, I think forever. I think that's the government contract, is we will pay you forever for construction. As long as something's messed up, you're getting money, right? Is there still construction at UIC? It's still bad? Okay, great. So nothing has changed. That's awesome. So I'm driving out and there's construction and there's this lady that's like telling people to go or stay or whatever the case may be. And she gave me weird messages. Like if she had like a go and a stop, she was like this. And I'm like, I don't know what you want. It looks clear. I'm going to drive. So I started driving. And then one guy, and my windows were up. My windows were not down. They were up. One guy, every cuss you can think of. He was like one of her coworkers. Big guy, red in the face, really angry. Everything under the sun, you can use your imagination that you can think of, he called me. You son of a... I can't copy him because I don't want to scream, but you get the idea. And I don't know if I was thinking about these ayat or not, I'm not really sure, but like I'm kind of like, maybe I was too tired. I don't know what my deal was. I was like doing the right thing that day, I guess, probably by accident. And he comes up to my window. And so it's like, it is really easy when that's a jahil. Like I barely did anything wrong. And if I did, it was an accident. And because you're like an emotional minefield, you're taking it as if I'm trying to offend you or something, and now you're cussing me out. Like that's what's going to make the situation any better for anybody. And now you're cussing me out, right? Okay. So he comes to my window, and I roll it down, and he's louder. Well, I think he's louder because I rolled down the window, but you get the idea. So I'm hearing him like face to face now, and I wait till he's done, and I'm like, sir, I'm really sorry. I was really confused what she wanted me to do. I accept the blame. Have a good day. You know what happens when you like confront someone like that, by the way? He was like, fine, thank you. And he walked away. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. But that's an example of like وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. They speak peaceful. I didn't say salam. He wouldn't have known what that meant, right? I didn't say peace, brother. Like I think that's weird. I spoke with salam and I left. That's an example. Does that make sense? Okay. Notice, by the way, how the first, like, is this what you would think the first thing is in this list? What would you think the first thing is?
Some part of worship.
Qiyam al-layl, salah, worship, hajj, something. The first thing is how you treat people. The first thing is how you treat people. The first beloveds of Allah are people that when they deal with other people, they deal with honor and dignity. That's group number one. Isn't that beautiful? Group number two is وَالَّذِينَ يَبِيتُونَ لِرَبِّهِمْ سُجَّدًا. Who said the Qiyam al-layl? Yeah, it's actually the second one, subhanAllah. This is group number two.
Can you use black font next time? Black, just so we can see.
Oh, you guys can't see.
If we can, it's just to make it clear.
I refuse. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I will, inshallah. All right. Second one. وَالَّذِينَ يَبِيتُونَ لِرَبِّهِمْ سُجَّدًا وَقِيَامًا. And the people that spend special time with Allah. They stay up, they sacrifice sleep, and they stay up at night for Allah, sujjadan wa qiyaman, making sajda and standing up. Notice how sajda came first, like they're in that very intimate place where no one can see them. You guys have, by the way, if you don't already know, one of the most, if you want to like fast track your relationship with Allah, Qiyam al-layl is the way you fast track it. I'm not saying this as someone that does it. I'm very low on the list when it comes to this, to be honest. I'm terrible at anything that has to do with sleep. Like as I mentioned with my daughter a little bit ago, if it has to do with sleep, I'm not good at it. Fajr was like the hardest thing for me. When I started taking Islam seriously at 18, Fajr was like really difficult for me, right? This is like Fajr on steroids. Is waking up before Fajr when no one knows you're up and like you're in literally like cloaked in darkness, no one knows, and you just spend that special time crying to Allah, thinking about Him, reciting whatever you know. That does something to you. The few times I've done it in my life, that has done something to me that like, it just opens up the sweetness of Iman, you know? You might be thinking, okay, next, like I'm not doing this one, you know? But I'm going to invite you. Ramadan's coming up. Ramadan is the easiest time to do this. Even outside of Ramadan, doing it like once a month, once in a while, finding any excuse to wake up just a little bit before Fajr and spending time with Allah, that automatically puts you on the list. وَالَّذِينَ يَبِيتُونَ لِرَبِّهِمْ سُجَّدًا وَقِيَامًا. I want to highlight again how sujood came before. When you think of salah, you think of someone standing. Allah says, no, these people, they're spending even more time in sujood. Like they're staying there. You know? Like I was praying next to someone today that when they went sujood and everyone else went up, he kind of like stayed there. Which, by the way, you're not supposed to do that. But I get the heart. I get what he's doing. You know what I mean? You're supposed to come up with the imam. But there's something in the heart that's like, I want to stay here. You know what I mean? That's someone, Allah does not turn away from that person. They become immediately on this VIP list. The third group. وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ. This one's a dua. I want to send these to you, by the way, afterwards, inshallah. وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ. And people that say something. That just say something. And listen to what they say. This is an interesting one, wallah. Listen to this. وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ. This third group is the people, the ones that say, رَبَّنَا اصْرِفْ عَنَّا عَذَابَ جَهَنَّمَ. Our Master, take away the punishment of Jahannam from us. Just saying, isn't that interesting? Just saying, Ya Allah, I don't want Jahannam, and you're on the list. That's it. You know what this reminds me of? There's a surah called Surah Ar-Rahman that, like the same word, Ibad Ar-Rahman, Surah Ar-Rahman, right? So in the surah, Allah starts by talking about miracles of His, and then He starts talking about, I want to say Jannah, and then Super Jannah, VIP Jannah, and then Jahannam. Right, Amr? I think that's the...
Miracles, and then things on earth, and then Jahannam, and then Jannah.
Oh, Jahannam first? Okay, so we talk about Jahannam first and Jannah. You know what's interesting? After He's done talking about Jahannam, He opens up the Jannah part by saying, whoever fears that fire gets 2 Jannahs. Like, here's me scaring you with a paragraph of what Jahannam is, and I don't need to spell that out for you. The punishment of Jahannam, that your skin will melt and it will come back and it will, like, you know, you have molting whatever metal pouring on your face, and your food is ghasaq, which is this, you know, like when you do the dishes, Well, you guys probably don't, but you know, like when you do the dishes and like there's like disgusting stuff that stinks that's in the bottom of the sink, that's ghasaq. You know, like that's what you have for food. These terrible things. And as you're feeling like, oh my God, as you just feel that, Allah's like, by the way, for those that felt that, you get 2 Jannahs. You see? Like how He just sets you up for success. And you see how, by the way, that's the same as that kid who was reprimanded by the mom but ran to the mom. And she was there to show love. You see what I mean? That relationship, it's very similar, right? This third group, they say, and by yaqulun, it likely means they say it often. That they say, رَبَّنَا اصْرِفْ عَنَّا عَذَابَ جَهَنَّمْ. Our Master, take away from us the punishment of Jahannam. إِنَّ عَذَابَهَا كَانَ غَرَامًا. Its punishment is a huge penalty. إِنَّهَا سَاءَتْ مُسْتَقَرًّا وَمُقَامًا. This part is important, listen to this very closely. This last thing that they say as a part of this dua, it is absolutely a terrible, evil place to stay, short term, mustaqarran, wa muqaman, and long term. Which is a weird thing to say, you would think. It's a terrible place short term, it's a terrible place long term. Let me explain that a little bit. You know, the Jews of old, the old Muslims, old like Musa alayhi salam, all the way to Isa alayhi salam, that branch of Muslims that we now call the Jews, which I don't know why we call them Jews. I actually want to learn the history of that name. But anyway, the old Muslims, they developed illnesses very quickly. Even during the life of Musa alayhi salam, let alone after he died. They developed illnesses very quickly, okay? One of those illnesses is, what's the ayah? لا تمسنا النار إلا أياما معدودات, I think they would say. Is that the ayah? Right? Oh, fire is not going to touch us except for maybe a few days. Like I'll spend a weekend in hell. And then I'll leave, because obviously if you got like what's common knowledge, right? That like if you're Muslim, maybe you'll go to hell a little bit and then you leave and you end up in Jannah, right? So they took this attitude and they're like, well, if I go to hell for a little bit, that's fine. A couple, ma'dudat, by the way, is necessarily between 3 and 9 days. I can spend like a week. I can take it for like a week and then I'll be in Jannah. As long as I can do what I want to do here, that's fine with me. These people, that by the way is an attitude of people of Jahannam. Allah calls it out as like, close to kufr, right? These people, they have an attitude of, this is a terrible place, short term and long term. I want nothing to do with it. I'm not going to have the attitude of trying to pull a fast one on Allah. I'm not going to have an attitude of like, I can be, I can spend a little bit of time there and it's fine. Like when you're, the way I imagine this conversation going, because do we not say the same thing now? Like I'll go to Jannah for a little bit, but I'll be fine afterwards. Like I imagine guys, a bunch of dumb guys like smoking hookah in the garage, and one guy's like, yeah man, it's fine, we'll be okay, it'll be fine, we'll be fine. Allah's ar-Rahman. Didn't you hear the ayah? It's about ar-Rahman. That attitude, that's not people that earn His love. People that earn His love are people that take what He says seriously, which is by the way going to come up later in one of these groups. There's going to be a whole group about taking what He says seriously, okay? People that just say, I want to sit with this a little bit, wallah. People that just say, Ya Allah, I don't want Jahannam. And that's it. Do you see what I mean by like Him looking for an excuse for you? Like anything? SubhanAllah, you see that? People that just say this. Okay, that's group number 3. Number 4, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَنفَقُوا, and people that when they spend. I want to pause here a little bit. Usually when Allah uses the word infaq like this, anfaqu, He's talking about charity most of the time. This time He's not talking about charity, He's talking about actually like spending. Like when you go to Chick-fil-A, that's infaq. When you go and buy yourself clothes, that's infaq, right? He's talking about this kind of spending. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَنفَقُوا لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا. They do not overspend. They don't exceed in their spending. وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا, and they're not cheap either. وَكَانَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ قَوَامًا. And they found a middle ground between those two things. They found a middle ground between those two things. Right away, because we're talking about morals, I want to highlight this. This is going to mean different things for different people. Okay? I'll give you an example of what Allah calls israf. Like what He said, لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا, they don't overspend. I'll give you an example of what that means to do overspending, okay? Muslims do this a lot in America, by the way. Where they buy a house that they know they can barely afford, and they become what's called house poor. You guys ever hear that name before? that word before, house poor, which means that they buy a house that's enormous and beautiful, but they can barely afford it, and they take a loan that is like extremely excessively haram to buy this house because God forbid I invite my cousins over and they see me in an apartment? Me? Do they know who my father is? So I'm going to buy a house that I can't afford because I need other people to see me a certain way. That's israf. Renting an elephant at a wedding, that's israf. There are some people though, like let me put it like this, like when I worked at Dunkin', and I would go home with like $300 a week or something, like 200, 300, and that was me working a lot. Like my hands were chapped because I had to wake up at like 4 a.m. in the winter to go work. I was a drive-through guy because I did the job no one else wanted to do because I was a sucker. So I like would open up the thing and I would try to use gloves, but I couldn't handle the money with gloves. So I would use my hands and my knuckles would start to bleed. And at the end of that week, I would get maybe $300. Okay, imagine I took that $300 and immediately bought like Jordans that are like $350. That's israf. That was not within my means. I let my emotions get in the way of my spending, and I just did israf. But for example, if someone, mashallah, is doing very well, like there are people in our community, I was talking to, he's not an auditor, he's an accountant, he does people's taxes every year, that some people they owe in taxes, he gave me a weird number, I think it was 30 million. That's what they owe in taxes. Like that's not what they're making, that's what they owe in taxes for a year. Can you imagine? And that's probably after all like the shady things they do to bring it down, you know what I mean? Man, their overspending is different than a lot of our overspending, is my point. Their being cheap is different than our being cheap. I'll give you another example of being cheap. Well, I don't know if this is cheap. You know, there's a program called Friday Night Live, and I was involved in it like in its early years, and back in the day, we did not have masjid funding. Like there was no like, oh, the masjid gives you a budget of like whatever, $300. Like the masjid's very generous, they give us money to go get hamawi and stuff like that. Back in the day, there was no hamawi. It was like if you want money, someone's donating, or you're gonna go like sell chocolate and then you're gonna use that money to buy stuff for the kids at FNL. So we sold chocolate and we ended up with like maybe, guys, how much did it used to be? Like $100 a month to spend? Okay, so I went to Walmart to spend $100 for a month of FNL, you know, getting them snacks and stuff. And I bought Hydrox. You know what Hydrox are? It's like generic Oreos. It's the most depressing, huh? They're the first, yeah, they're the first, but come on. I know they literally are, but like, come on, no one buys Hydrox. Like, unless you're really sad, you buy Hydrox. You know what I mean? Or you don't like yourself, then you buy Hydrox. But otherwise, you get Oreos. But that's what we could afford. I remember we actually had this conversation, that you were like, why not buy Oreo? And I'm like, we can't afford Oreos. And Allah said, لم يسرفوا ولم يقترضوا وكانت بين ذلك قواما. And this is our qawam right now. This is what Hydrox is our qawam. We can't afford anything else. I remember like a year or two later, we got a budget and then like we bought Oreos and I'm like, oh man, we're rolling in it, dude. We got Oreos here, dude. Man, we got Oreos and pizza. Oh my God, you guys are spoiled. Back then that was our qawam, you know? But look how Allah is calling out one of the types of people that He loves are people that when they have money, they have rizq from Allah, they know the value of it. They're not going to splurge on it. They're not going to be cheap with their family. Like give a face every time their wife buys like the good milk. It's 50 cents more expensive. I don't like these eggs. You know, like whatever. They make a face and they want things to, like no, you don't do that either. You find a middle ground. You have to spend in life. You have to buy things within your means, right? But you don't do israf. Of course, once in a while, whatever, I don't know if this means like you can never, you know, treat yourself sometimes, whatever the case may be, but it just means as like a habit, right? That you find a way in the middle. May Allah put barakah on our rizq. Okay, that's group number 1. Group number 4. Number 5. وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَدْعُونَ مَعَ اللَّهِ إِلَهًا آخَرَ. And people that do not call with Allah any other God. People that don't commit shirk. Ding, 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 ding. That one I can do, you know? It's low-hanging fruit right here, you know? It's like, I'm not going to do number 1, you know? Number 2, heck no. Number 3, I don't want to memorize a dua or something. Number 4, I like to spend what I spend. Number 5, okay, I won't do shirk. That one I won't do. I won't do that one. وَلَا يَقْتُلُونَ النَّفْسِ. And they don't kill someone. You know what? You're laughing. I'm going to get to this in a second. Hold on. I'm going to make you not laugh in a second. وَلَا يَقْتُلُونَ النَّفْسَ الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ. And they don't kill a person. They don't kill a person or a life. You can think of it as like they don't kill a human life. الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ, that Allah has made sanctified. Right? You know, in our deen, you know how like we have a lot of reverence for the Kaaba, for example? You know, there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ taught us that the blood of one Muslim is worth more than the Kaaba itself. The blood of one Muslim. So when Allah said He made a life sacred, or we know another hadith, for example, where a Jewish man or Jewish woman died in Medina at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and they were carrying her body, and the Prophet ﷺ stood up. And they're like, Ya Rasulullah, why are you standing? She was a Jew. And then he said, was she not a human? Was that not a human life? And he honored that human life, right? So, allati haram Allah. Notice he didn't say the blood of the Muslim only, he said the life, the nafs, a person, any human being, the one that Allah had made sanctified, illa bil haq, except with a just right, without a purpose. Like, so meaning sometimes you have the right to kill somebody, like if you're under threat, whatever the case may be. وَلَا يَزْنُونَ, and they do not commit zina. And we have a kid in the audience, so I'm not going to be super explicit with this. I'm going to be vague about this, okay? And they do not commit zina. They do not commit adultery, okay? So 3 major things. There's more to this, by the way. I'm going to pause right here for a second, though. They don't do 3 major things. What's thing number 1? They don't call up with Allah any other partner, okay? Let me pause on this one really fast. Remember I talked to you about principles last time I met with you? And there's principles in our deen. By the way, if you take like the Quran, like this entire thing, and you like if you look at these pages, if you want to boil down Quran to just the laws of Islam, like legal laws, right? What I guess we'll call rules for the argument, it's 10% of what you're looking at. 10%. If you want to pile them up, it's about 10%. The rest of the 90% are beliefs, principles, morals. That's what's in Quran. Okay? Now, I told you about these principles. One principle, there's economic principles, for example, that you're not allowed to abuse people that have less means than you. That's haram. You're not allowed to do that. Morally speaking, you're not allowed to touch that. You are not allowed to bury your daughters just because it's a cultural norm. You are not allowed to kill your children just because you are afraid that I won't have money to take care of them. You're not allowed to kill them. There are people that literally, they go insane before they snap and they kill their own children because, and this is like post-birth, by the way. I'm not talking about abortion. That's a whole other discussion. Some people include that, by the way, fiqh-wise, but that's, Omar Suleiman has a good series on that you can watch if you're interested in Islamic ideas of abortion. It's actually very beautiful. It's very balanced. But my point is, what was my point? What was I? Oh my God. Oh, with shirk. So there's these principles. Thank you so much. There's these principles, and I want you to think of like all these principles, and they're in a bag. Right? And if the bag tears at the bottom, what happens to the principles? They're gone. They fall. What is that bag? That bag is La ilaha illallah. If you lose that bag, you lose everything in that bag. This is why I used to ask myself all the time as a kid, why is shirk such a big deal? You guys ever ask yourself that? Like Allah literally has an ayah where He says He will never forgive shirk. If you die on shirk, He'll never forgive it. If you die on shirk specifically, He will never forgive it. You're condemned to hell forever if you die on shirk. But He says anything under that I forgive. Anything under that. Use your wildest imagination. People that genocide other Muslims, they can be forgiven. There's literally a surah that covers that. People that genocide believers. The IDF, an IDF soldier, if they go back to Allah, forgiven. No questions asked. If they genocide Muslims, no questions asked. But shirk, untouchable. And I would always wonder, like, man, more than murder, more than rape? You know what I mean? What's the big deal, you know? Astaghfirullah, but I used to think this way. And the more mature I got with like the way I understood Quran, I realized that if you let go of this very exclusive, there is no God but Allah, if you let go of that, then maybe not right away, but after a generation, 2 generations, anything that statement stands for is gone. Anything and everything is gone. The people of Mecca that were burying their daughters and swapping wives for the night and swapping husbands for the night and playing, what's that show, Maori, You're Not the Father or whatever? Like they would literally, if a woman was pregnant, because she slept with so many men, she would have like a history of like the 10 last men that she slept with. And when the kid was born, Maori was his name? They had their own Maori or whatever, and he would look at the kid and look at the 10 guys and be like, you're the father. And everyone's like, ah! You know, like that happened in Mecca. These same people, if you go back a few generations, were the children of Ibrahim alayhi salam. But when you get rid of La ilaha illallah, you get rid of everything. It'll take time, but you get rid of that bag you don't touch. Does that make sense? It's a big deal. Okay, that was the first thing. The second and third thing, what were they again? They don't what and they don't what? They don't kill the sacred soul and they don't, meaning a human life, and they don't commit zina. This is amazing in Quran how consistent it is. These two crimes, you know, like we have this notion of like major sins in Islam, right? Okay. These two are arguably the worst of any major sins. Killing and zina. In Quran, they're almost always, I don't want to say always because I feel like it's always, but I did not check, I have to do more research. But they're almost always talked about in proximity to each other. Like it's always, don't kill and don't commit zina. And sometimes it's don't commit zina and don't kill. So sometimes it's A then B, sometimes B then A, but it's always together. Does that make sense? It's always together, which is interesting. You know, one wisdom of them always being together, these crimes, these two specific crimes, if society was like a forest, these two are fire. These two are a forest fire. And by the way, for Allah to put them together all the time, what does it also mean about them? They're equal. They're just as bad as the other. Which is maybe hard for us to swallow because zina is so common. Thought that it's common too, but we just don't see it every day. Well, now we do, but at least as of 3 years ago, zina was so common that we almost play with the idea of like they'll make a movie where like a girl is like committing zina and her father comes home and you're like, oh my God, I hope she escapes. Like you're on the side of the girl committing zina. You know what I mean? Like that's what they do to us in like literally in movies and TV shows. It's become so normal. But Allah puts them together like these are two extreme crimes. I do not see a difference in them. Do not touch them. You know what Allah says about zina, by the way? Do not even go near it. It's like the imagery is like if there's a city and in that city is like the actual act. I don't need to spell it out for you. Don't even go on the outskirts of that. Don't go near it. Nothing. Don't go anywhere near that city. Don't be on the outside. Don't be by the gate. Be like, I just want to see what the hubbub's about. Don't go like if the GPS is going that way, go around. Don't go anywhere near that city. That's what zina is like. Okay. Now, these two things destroy society. They destroy society. If these two things become normal, there is no more society, actually. There's no more society. I think I don't need to explain that when it comes to killing. Let me explain that when it comes to zina, though. I'll explain really quickly. Salah ad-Din, the one who's famous for like the Fatah al-Quds, I forgot the year, he had a really powerful quote where he said, if you want to ruin a generation, if you want to ruin a country, I'll put it in this, if you want to dismantle a country, you don't need to burn their books, you don't need to kill their women, you don't need to kill their men. All you need to do is get the young people obsessed with zina. If you can do that, you've destroyed that nation. That's all you need to do. If you can start that fire, by the way, you know in Palestine, one of the tactics of the IDF, may Allah curse them, was, you know, they have access to loudspeakers in like Ramallah. Like I was raised in Ramallah, like the slums, essentially, right? It's like a major city, but essentially it's a major ghetto, right? So I was born in Al-Quds, but I would always visit back in Ramallah, okay? You know one thing they would always do is they have access to the PA systems around the city, and they would play pornography on the PA systems. So you would hear it. When you introduce that to like a young mind, or when you're driving up, what's that street? I'm driving up LaGrange and you see a polecats billboard. You know the billboard. You drive up LaGrange, past Marine, right before Marine. No, right after Marine. And you're going up LaGrange, you'll see polecats, $10 Tuesdays. You put that in front of a young man, in front of a young woman, and start that fire and wait. And the rest will handle itself. You don't have to do anything. Just start that fire and wait for it to engulf everything. When you introduce that to a family, you know, I forgot the statistic, Wallah, forgive me, I studied this a while ago. You know how divorce is like, in America, you flip a coin and that's your marriage. in terms of divorce rates, statistically. I'm not saying your marriage, Johnny, statistically. It's like a 50-50. I think now it's actually closer to 60-40, if not 70-30 at this point, the divorce rates, right? Meaning 60% get divorced, 40% stay together. You know, not surprisingly, the number one reason why people get divorced is actually pornography specifically. It's like infidelity in general, but like pornography specifically. You introduce that to a nation, and you guys have to, this is going to come back later, by the way, okay? Because this is why I'm spending time on this right now. If you think of society as like building blocks, you have like the individual, right? And then you have family units, okay? And then a bunch of families together, they make a city. And a bunch of cities, they make a country. And a bunch of countries, they make a continent. A bunch of continents, they make the world. You get the idea, okay? Shaitan knows that there's one piece in this building, this like building that you make, that if you pull this piece, everything else will come tumbling down. You don't have to worry about toppling a nation. All you got to do is what? Mess with the family. If you can mess with the family, if you can get in between husband and wife and pull that Jenga piece, you lost. That's all you need to do. This is what zina does. So people that stay away from shirk, stay away from killing, and stay away from zina, they are considered ibad al-Rahman. Okay? You know what this also means is that must mean there are people that this is actually hard to do. That it's hard to not commit shirk. It's hard to not kill someone. I literally, guys, I don't want to get into much detail, because I don't want to, whatever. I know someone that they literally packed a gun, traveled with the intention of killing a man, and changed their mind the last second. Just out of rage. Justified rage, I would add, actually. Justified rage, but not that justified. Like, there are men and women in the world where this is actually hard to do. And there will be moments, by the way, in your life where, especially that last one, guys, will be hard to do. It'll be hard to do. You might be someone that just, mashallah, Allah maybe gave you a lot of beauty as a man or as a woman, and the opportunity is just always there. You might be that person. So that last part, wala yaznun, is like really hard for you because it's always available. Always. That might be your situation. Allahu Alam. You can be part of these special people that earn Allah's extreme special love if you commit to, I'm not going to touch this. I will never touch this. I will not even go near that city, so to speak. Does that make sense? There are people, by the way, I would imagine in like India, Pakistan, where there's like Hindus and stuff like that, in a Hindu family and they convert to Islam, that they are literally told either you worship Vishnu or we will kill you in their household. And that is it's really easy to commit shirk in that situation, right? And they, because of their love for Allah, are like, no, I worship Allah alone, and they're murdered. That happens all the time in the Muslim world. All the time. All the time. You may be, I'll give you one more example, as Palestinians especially, I know it's like mostly Palestinians in the room, you may be, this is a weird thing that Palestinians have, is they love fortune tellers. I don't know what it is with us and fortune tellers, dude. Oh my Lord, we love our fortune tellers, okay? Fortune telling is like shit, guys. It's like, it's really, you laugh, but it's don't touch it. Do not touch it. And you might be because, I don't know if she loves me. Is he going to marry me or someone else? You're laughing, I swear to you, I literally know a situation where someone, for that dumb of a reason, went to a fortune teller. Twice. Don't touch it. I don't care how normal it is. I don't care how cheap their rates are. I don't care if they have a $5 Sunday special. Don't commit shirk. Yeah? That's okay. But this continues. Listen, I have talked to you guys before about we are going to mess up in life. And when I say that as human beings, I do not mean mess up in little ways. I mean mess up in humongous ways. Like sometimes life-ruining ways. Sometimes ways that literally force you to leave your home, that force you to leave your marriage, that maybe other people do not forgive you, so they oust you or they exile you. Embarrassing ways that we mess up. Sometimes we get caught doing something really embarrassing, right? Look what Allah says. So may Allah forgive us, if you're someone that's like, I already did one of these things, I want you to listen, because Allah didn't finish yet. He says, وَلَا يَزْنُونَ, and they don't commit zina, وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ يَلْقَى أَثَامًا. So I'll get to the bad part, and then I'm going to get to the good part. Ready? And whoever did any of those things, يَلْقَى أَثَامًا, he has done something horrendous. يُضَاعَفْ لَهُ الْعَذَابِ, punishment for him will be doubled. Why is it doubled? Because these people were Muslim and they knew what they were doing. يُضَاعَفْ لَهُ الْعَذَابِ. And I will say, scary enough, يُضَاعَفْ could be doubled, it could be just multiplied. Meaning more. Okay. يُضَاعَفْ لَهُ الْعَذَابِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, on the day of standing. وَيَخْلُدْ فِيهِ مُهَانًا, and he will stay in it forever in humiliation. Muhanan. Illa, except man taba, whoever did a U-turn and came back to Allah. Wa amana, and recommitted himself in faith and believed all over again. I'm going to get back to that in a second. Wa amila amalan salihan, and committed to seriously doing good deeds. Fa ulaika, then those people, listen to this closely. Everyone be quiet and listen. Those people, who are these people so far, by the way? People that either committed shirk and or killed someone and or did zina or all of the above. And Allah's saying if they do three things, what are those three things? They did, first of all, taba. Taba, by the way, tawbah, to do a U-turn. Like when you're going the wrong way and you like, you go back to Allah like that, sincere, like you do repentance, right? You ask for forgiveness, and you go back, you do a U-turn back to Allah because you know how far you went. That's number one. Number two, they recommitted their iman, and they believed, which is a weird thing to say. You know what that means, by the way? You know there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that said, he said, while a believer, while he commits zina, is not a believer while he's committing it. His Muslim card is gone. While they're committing zina, they're not a Muslim in the moment. So Allah, and one can likely assume that that's the case for murder as well, and obviously it's the case for shirk. It's as if to say these are so bad that you in that moment have left the fold and you need to return to Allah and recommit to your faith and seriously وَعَمِلَ عَمَلًا. This is a mutlaq, maf'ul mutlaq for students that you might remember this. They committed to doing serious good deeds. They really came back better than before. فَأُولَٰئِكَ, then those people who did those really disturbing things but then turned back to Him, فَأُولَٰئِكَ يُبَدِّلُ اللَّهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِمْ حَسَنَاتٍ, then Allah will convert all of their sins into good deeds. That's crazy. Imagine you were like 100 grand in debt to your bank, and because you said sorry to your bank that they're like, you know what, we'll forgive the debt and we'll give you 100K, man. We'll make it up. That negative, we'll just add a plus 100K. This is Allah, by the way. This is who He is. From little things or big things? The biggest things. From the biggest things. Whatever story you got, from the biggest things. Assuming you came back, sincerely came back. يُبَدِّلُ اللَّهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِمْ حَسَنَاتٍ وَكَانَ اللَّهُ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا, and Allah has always been extremely forgiving and always loving and caring. وَمَنْ تَابَ, and anyone else, meaning if you're someone that's like, well, I never killed someone, I never committed zina, and I never whatever, do I still get that deal? Allah says, وَمَنْ تَابَ, and anyone else who came back to Allah, وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا, and did good deeds, فَإِنَّهُ يَتُوبُ إِلَى اللَّهِ مَتَابًا, then he has sincerely came back to Him, and meaning he gets like the same benefits as the previous group. Okay, وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورِ, people that do not witness false testimonies. Meaning that when literally they're called to court, imagine like a court of law setting, they do not lie in court. I've been to court before, by the way. I don't know if I ever told you guys. Did I ever tell you guys about my stalker? Never talk about this? All right. I'm not gonna talk. I'll talk about it later. It's a funny story. It wasn't funny, but it's funny now. I've been to court, and I remembered like from Quran. I'm like, man, I got to take this seriously. And I was wrong. Like, this is like, I'm in the right 110%. I'll tell you the story later. Do I want to tell you the story now? No, we don't have time now. I'll tell you the story later, inshallah. Maybe. I probably won't, but maybe later. Okay. I remember like standing in front of a judge and telling my side of the story that I was extremely careful. Extremely careful. Because lying in the environment of court, in the deen, is like that is like a hellbound act right there. You know what I mean? وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورِ, they do not witness false testimony. They don't lie about what they witnessed. They saw a crime happen, they don't change what happened just because the one who committed the crime is their cousin. No, they tell the truth, right? The concept of tell the truth even if it's against yourself, right? But zuhud has another meaning, which is having useless company. Like people that they invite on the weekends to smoke hookah, people that invite you to those lounges, people that invite you and like whatever, they just, you know that the company's not good for you. You know, my wife said something interesting today. She cooked salmon. My wife cooked salmon today. It was really good. Okay. And, but the apartment smelled like fish. But we had no idea it smelled like fish. Why didn't we know that it smelled like fish? Because it's in the air. So it's like, whatever. You don't smell it anymore. Then she went and visited her mother. And her mom was like, you smell like fish. But we didn't smell it. And then when we both came back to the apartment, we opened the door and like salmon punched us in the face like that. You know what I'm trying to say? The Prophet ﷺ actually gave that example of friends being like, your friends are like a smell. Like he kind of gave that example. Well, like if you're friends with a blacksmith, then you're going to smell like coal and fire and smoke. But if you're friends with someone who sells perfume, you're going to smell like what? Perfume. But it won't be in the air. You won't even think about it. You won't even realize that they're bringing you down. These people are very cautious of what's in the air. They have a sharp nose. They know people who are useless company. That's what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense? Very stupid example, but I thought it was funny. And salmon tasted really good. Okay. Yeah, لا يشهد الزور. وإذا مروا باللغو. And when useless when they pass by useless conversation, like they're passing by people who, you know what I mean, like they're backbiting, they're talking bad about other people, or they're saying things that are just really dumb, or they're like talking about like they're like, you know what I mean, talking about things that like, they're putting their nose in other people's business, whatever the case may be. When they do encounter people that are talking about, the word is laghu, like useless conversation, marru kiraman. They pass by with dignity. They leave in a dignified way. Meaning you're sitting down with your people, with your friends, with your family even, and they start talking about things that like Allah wouldn't like to talk about. And you don't go, astaghfirullah. Like how some people do, like they give that look. That's not marru kiraman. You know what marru kiraman is? Is like they pretend like they get a text and like, oh guys, I'm sorry, I gotta go. It was fun hanging out with you. I gotta go. And they leave. You know this happened to me once actually, where like I had a group of friends that would just say bad things about people that I know were not true. It's just really disgusting things they would say about people. So every time it started, I'm like, all right guys, I gotta go. I would just kind of get up. And then the second time, I'm like, okay, I gotta go. And then the third week, I was like, all right guys, I gotta go. As soon as that conversation came up. And then the fourth week, they're like, you always go when we start talking about people. So we're gonna not talk about people until you leave. You know? But that, you know what that means is like you leave the conversation in a way that does not offend even people that are doing wrong. Just like how yamshuna ala ardi hawnan, remember that? They walk in a way that doesn't offend people. Even when it comes to people that you know they're doing wrong, you don't offend them. You treat them with dignity. You yourself are dignified and you treat them with dignity. Does that make sense? Okay. Marru kiraman. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِّرُوا بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِمْ. And people, when they are reminded of the ayat of Allah, listen to this one because it says this could be you right now. So listen to this one. It could be me right now too. I hope it's me right now too. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِّرُوا بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِمْ. And people that when they are reminded of the ayat, the miracles of their master, لَمْ يَخِرُّوا عَلَيْهَا صُمًّا وَعُمْيَانًا. They do not fall on them deaf and blind. They don't go, whatever, dude. They listen. Like if you just listen, you take it seriously. If you're listening to an ayat, being like right now, it's being presented to you, right? Am I not talking to you about ayat of Allah? For you to even just take it seriously, let it hit the heart at least a little bit, you're part of this group. You know, it's I don't want to go too much in detail about this. I had a friend in high school that it was like he was my best friend, my best. I love this guy. We made each other. If you can make me laugh, I'm like a puppy. I'm your best. If you can make me laugh, I'm your best friend. I love laughing. This guy made me laugh every minute that we were together. He's so funny, dude. He's so funny, wallah. May Allah guide him. He's a really funny guy. As soon as I started taking Deen seriously, he caught whiff of it. And I remember the moment where he dropped me. I remember the moment. He didn't even tell me like, hey man, I'm not comfortable with the stuff, I'm leaving. I told him, I didn't even tell him anything. I'm just like, hey, I'm going to MSA. He's like, he looked at me and looked the other way and sped up. Last time I talked to him in high school. That was the end of that relationship. I don't want to say I never talked to him again, but he avoided me. The other day I ran into him, he avoided me. The other day, literally 3 days ago. Hope he's not watching this. If he is, Salam, man. Hope you're doing well. The other day. But you know what that is? Even, like, don't be the type of person where when you even just hear the advice of Allah, they're like, man, stop. I don't want to hear it. The opposite of that. When it's spoken about, you listen. When Quran is playing, you shut up and you listen. Like not at Azza, where they're playing Quran and you guys are drinking coffee and talking about your real estate. No. Quran is playing, Quran is being talked about, you be quiet and you listen. And you take it seriously. That's this group. Last group, and I'll shut up, okay? And we'll move on, inshallah. This one is very beautiful. It has to do with marriage, actually. So if you were asleep, wake up. وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ. This is one, by the way, I think my favorite dua in the Quran is this. I learned this when I was 18, and I said it nearly every day since then. And it definitely, alhamdulillah, paid in dividends for me. I'm 32 now. And this definitely paid out for me in dividends. So I want you to pay attention to this. I'm hoping that maybe a few of you take it as seriously as I did, and you say this often for yourself. It's a really beautiful one. Listen to this. وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ. And people that say, so this is the second dua that Allah loves, okay? وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ. And people that say, رَبَّنَا, our Master, هَبْ لَنَا, give us the gift. You know, do you deserve a gift? Did you do anything to deserve a gift? No. A gift is something given to you despite you not doing anything to deserve it. Payment is not a gift. Payment you earned. You work, you get paid. A gift, I don't care, it's your birthday. You didn't do anything, dude. You know? You get a gift, you should be thankful. Okay? Anyway. Our Master, give us the gift. Gift us. Hablana min azwa. By the way, the word hibba. The word hibba means gift. Okay? Like hibba the hippo. It's also alliteration. Hibba the hippo. I thought it was very clever. Apparently not. Okay. Rabbana. It was my idea, by the way, all right? Hablana. Give us the gift. Min azwajina, from our spouses, wa dhurriyatina, and our children. By the way, dhurriyat is not just your children, but your children's children and their children, and like the entire family tree. This is what I'm talking about, right? When you see, it's not awlad, it's dhurriya. Dhurriya is everyone down. It's you and everyone down. Or no, sorry, under you and everyone down. Okay, so you're the dhurriya of your great grandfather. That's the idea, right? Give us the gift of our spouses and our children, our dhurriya, our lineage, to be qurratu a'yun, the coolness of our eyes. I want to spend some time on this. So I know you guys seem tired, but this is important. Okay, so listen up. Qurra ayn is a really beautiful expression in Old Arabic. It means a couple of things. The first kind of simple thing it means like the coolness of your eyes. Like, you know when they used to use this? Is, do I have my, okay, so I'll show you what this means. Do I still have my scarf from earlier? You know how people, you know how we're like, wear a hatta? You know? Oh, where's my hat? That's not what I want. Oh, this right here. So back in the day in the desert, and even now, like in the desert, when you want to protect yourself from the sand, like during a sandstorm, you would kind of wear your hatta like this. I'm going to mess it up entirely right now, but like you would look like, that you should be on a list, you know what I mean? I'm messing it up, but you get the idea. I look so dumb right now. But like you would wrap your head up and you would just leave like just enough in your eyes. I'm messing it up, but you get the idea. I make myself look like a fool for you guys. Okay, listen. You would, wear it like this, and the point of that is what in a sandstorm? Is so like it doesn't hurt, like because it'll burn your face, and you just leave just enough for your eyes, because you have to see, but you don't want to leave it open because sand will literally impale your eyeball. You know what I mean? And obviously it wouldn't be perfect. It's not like it's goggles or something. So when that same Arab guy would go into a cave and he's away from the sandstorm, and he would take this off and take some water and like, because there would be water in the cave, and wash out his eyes, he would be like, qurrat ayn. That's what that meant. You know what that's asking for? That's asking, and may Allah give us all of this. That's asking that you as a husband, may Allah get you guys all married and with a good spouse and give you children, inshallah. When you guys, if you're not already married, when you get married, inshallah, when you guys go home to your children, when you go home to your spouse, it's like the whole world was a sandstorm, and then your husband, your wife, your kid is like that cave. Your home is like that cave. And when you see them, you know what also Qurrat Ayn means? Like something that makes you so happy that number one, it makes you want to cry, and number two, you can't keep your eye off of them. Like you just love them so much. Notice how, by the way, it started with the love of Allah and ended with the love of family. See how Allah did that? which is a big hint that the way, there was a man that came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he was like, Ya Rasulullah, I don't kiss or hug my children. And the Prophet replied with something really scary, and he said, if you don't have rahmah in your heart, then what can I do for you? Rahmah does not mean mercy. What does it mean? Love. If you don't have love in your heart, what can I do for you? It's like, without love, you can't know Allah. And the immediate way you practice and you show love is to who first? Your family. Especially when you get married to your own household, that's who gets it first. Right? Nowadays, it's the opposite. It's the sandstorm is in the house and the Qurrat Ayn is anywhere else, right? Like you're crying, but it ain't because you love it, you know what I'm saying? Like you're crying for different reasons. You know what I mean? But this is what we ask for. I guess I'll mention it like this. I will tell you from like what I know about my job so far and me thinking a lot about stuff and like just looking at like distant family and other friends and whatever. We are really bad at families. Like our community. We're really bad at this, guys. Like it's actually a really big problem. We're not good at it at all. We're failing overall big time. You know what I mean? There's very few men that I know that they will tell me like, I really love my father. There's very few men that I know. Or like my father was a big inspiration for, my self-esteem. Very few. Very, very few people that I know. I'm thinking of one. I can't think of anyone else. I know one. And he's young. He might change his mind. But, there's imagine like one of our households. Baba comes home. Are you happy? You act really different, or it's time for bed. I hear that one a lot from people. My dad comes home, it's time for bed. Because being around him is really hard. So, time for bed. Oh man, alcoholism is destroying us, by the way. My goodness. It is setting fire to our households, wallah. Why is this important? Remember I told you that there's one block in society that if you mess with it, everything else falls down. What was that block again? Specifically, a marriage. When we make dua for something, we can't just make dua and do nothing. We have to be people that actually commit to being good fathers and good mothers, good children. And when we commit to that idea and we commit to this dua, we will literally change our community by changing the way that we view our families. I love that I'm talking to a lot of unmarried people because you guys get to make decisions early. It's kind of like, if you played a video game where you're steering a pirate ship, and if you're going to, or like whatever, even if you're driving a car, if you're going too fast, it's really hard to turn, right? It's easy to turn when you're going slow. It's hard to turn when you're going really fast. That turn is going to be really wide. Right now, it's like you're in that ship and it's slow. You can maneuver any way you want. The way that you want to think about your future wife, your future husband, how you want to rear your kids, that's thinking you can do right now. When you're in it, it's not impossible, but it gets a lot harder, right? These people, they're asking for Allah, make our spouses and our offspring qurratu ayn, the coolness of our eyes, وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. And the way they think of marriage, listen to this, is really important. When you and I think of marriage, we think, I can't wait to meet my naseeb. I hate that word so much. Oh my God. My naseeb. I can't wait to, man, shut up, naseeb. Oh my God, I hate that word. I hate that word. It makes everyone so dumb, I swear to God. Anyway. Because now you reduced marriage to you feeling good. You know what I mean? Like that's all it is to you, Like come on, that's all your brain can muster up is it makes you feel really good. That's it. It makes you feel like how songs in the summertime make me feel. That's what we are now. These people, the way they think of marriage, and this is the same dua, right? وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. And make us leaders for the muttaqeen. A muttaq is a group of people Allah started the Quran with in Baqarah. People that, you can think of it like this. People that fear and love Allah enough to protect themselves from what He hates. Good people. Make us leaders of good people. Who are the good people in the immediate dua that we're talking about here? My children, my spouse. Make me, especially men in the room, you're making dua to be a leader to good offspring. That you're committing not just to the love, that was there first, don't get me wrong, but you're committing, I'm going to do my best to raise my spouse and raise my children to love Allah, and so that they can raise their children to love Allah, and their children, I want a domino effect of hasanat that will follow me to my grave. That's what I want. You're committing to that idea. multiplying the khair that you do. That's what you're committing to. You're committing to changing your community and changing the ummah through your own kids. Not just some nasib, whatever. You're like, follow my heart garbage. No, more than that. That's there, don't get me wrong. I'm not totally throwing that idea out, but you guys are really weird, wallah. You 20-somethings are weird. Wallahi, you're weird. Like, we got to talk about that soon. We will talk about it soon, because you're making me mad, and I'm whatever. Okay, last thing, I'll let you go. I'm sorry, and we have to go after this, okay? That whole thing that I just said, this is all the 8 things. I'll send you a better list, especially of the du'as. I'm going to send it in the WhatsApp group. If you're not on it, get on it soon. Okay, Adam, if we can pick up the winners, whoever did it, you could just pick 2 winners. That whole thing so far wasn't even a full sentence. That was actually just the first half of the sentence. Ibad ar-Rahman, the people that do number 1 and do number 2 and do number 3 and do number 4, group number 5 and group number 6, all of those people, what is the point of this sentence? Ulaika, all of them, meaning all of these 8 people, yujazawna al-ghurfa. They will be rewarded with high, lofty mansions. Bima sabaru, because of how they had sabr, because of how they were patient. You know what sabr, by the way, what's being highlighted here is not just patience. Sabr means consistency, constancy. That you're someone, you walk with humility, and you have sabr, you always do it. It's a permanent trait of yours. You spend the night in prayer, and you don't let go of it. Or you're the type that asks Allah to save you from Jahannam, and you, like, until you die, you will ask for that. Or you're someone that really thinks about the way they spend, and you die on that habit. And you get the idea, so on and so forth. Bima sabaru, for how they were consistent in being in one of these groups. وَيُلَقَّوْنَ فِيهَا تَحِيَّةً وَسَلَامًا, and they will be greeted with beautiful greetings and salam, and greetings of peace. Meaning you're walking in Jannah and you'll have a butler. It's like, salam, I'm so happy to see you. You're finally here. Here's your mansion. You know, and your family members will say salam. And who also say salam to you? Allah will say salam to you. Salamun qawman min Rabbin Rahim. Salam to you people from a loving master. It ends with love, right? Rabbun Rahim, that's not a mistake. Min Rabbin Rahim. May Allah make us people that hear that. And make us people of Ibad ar-Rahman. I hope this is a good introduction of, like, again, think about what your list would have been and think what Allah's list is. And really, look at this. I'm going to send this in the WhatsApp group. Pick something, guys, please. Yeah? You need this love, I need this love. I can't survive without this love, and you can't survive without this. We literally, even in this world, we can't live without it. We need to be of this group. So pick something. And maybe, do a little bit more than, yeah? You can do better. You can do more than that. You can do more than that, yeah? Inshallah. May Allah make us people of Ibad ar-Rahman. Let's end with Surah Al-Asr, and then I'm going to let you guys go. You can't go back upstairs, and we have to leave right away. By the way, guys, please stop messaging me on WhatsApp. I don't use WhatsApp. Some of you have been waiting for me for like 3 months. I don't use WhatsApp, and I'm sorry, but you should have known, because I have it as like my status. So please don't. If you need me, text me. If you need me, email me, and we'll talk or whatever. But because I care about you guys, but we can't hang out here anymore, so we have to leave right away. But please don't WhatsApp me, please. I beg you. Okay. I feel so bad. All right. I'm also really bad at messaging back. Okay. We'll end this with Al-Asr, and Omar knows I'm really bad at messaging back. Okay. Weeks it takes me sometimes. How many messages do I have right now? It's like 88. I'm not going to read them. I'm not going to read them. Let's end this with Al-Asr. Yeah? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Allah says, I swear by time that's running out, every individual human being is drowning in loss except for those who believe and do the few things expected of them, and invite others to the truth, and invite others with sabr, with constancy and consistency. May Allah make us of them. I will see you guys in 2 weeks, inshallah.